Welcome to A Slob Comes Clean, the podcast. I am Dana K. White. I share my personal deslobification process. As I figure out ways to keep my own home under control, I share the truth about cleaning and organizing strategies that actually work in real life for real people, people who don't love cleaning and organizing. Thanks for joining me today. This is podcast number 450. What in the world? Does that mean I've 450? 225. I was going to say, does that mean I've talked for 900 hours? And that's the opposite of what I need to do. 225 hours at least here. So you can listen to this for, I don't know. How many days would that be? I don't know. I'm not about to start doing math here. So anyway, forget I said any of that. But today's podcast is called Decluttering to Combine Households. I am talking with one of my kindred spirits here, and y'all, this is proof that we are super cool people. We are. She has an interesting, to say the least, like super interesting, fascinating job that we talk about, and it's a really fun conversation. So I think you're going to enjoy this conversation that we have. And don't forget, if you would like to be a member of our Kindred Spirits group, you can always go to patreon.com/aslobcomesclean and learn how to join us. All right, here's my conversation. Amy, thank you so much for being willing to come on the podcast and tell us everything about you.
Hi, Dana. It's so nice to talk to you on here.
I'm excited. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your unique life situation.
So I am 52, and I think you are pretty close to that, right?
Yes, I'm about to be 51, yes.
Yes. So I am recently married. I've been married about a year and a half. I have no kids of my own. My husband has a daughter who just turned 17, but we have been together for about 8 years. The pandemic kind of threw off wedding planning for a while there.
Oh, yeah.
But before that, I was previously married and then single for 6 years and owned my own townhouse. And then when my husband and I got together, he slowly started moving into my place. And before that, I always thought I was kind of a tidy person. But what I didn't realize is I had about 1,200 square feet of personal space. Mm-hmm. And when he and his daughter started moving in, I suddenly had one less bedroom, a lot less closet space. And it was fine until then. And he works away from home. So he'll be gone for months at a time sometimes. So he'd be in and out. It was no big deal. And we rented out his house. So when he really started moving in, and then the pandemic hit, and suddenly the three of us were really sharing space, mm-hmm. and it got really tight. So about three and a half years ago now, about the time that you were moving, I bought a larger townhouse in my same complex, but it needed a ton of work. So we spent about a year and a half in construction. Ugh. And once we got things
so hard.
Yeah, we got it down to the studs, the whole place. Oh, wow. And then once we got through the construction, we brought basically a 2-car garage worth of his storage into the house. And that's really left me with I don't want to default to just all my own stuff getting put away, but there's all this stuff that didn't exist in my household before.
Yeah. And
just slowly working our way through all of that. Now, luckily, my new place has a lot more space, but you know how it is when you're under construction, you kind of do, okay, well, this bedroom's done. We're going to get cozy in this little room. And then, okay, now the kitchen's done. Okay, well, then you just start scooting the mess around and around.
Yeah.
To make everything work.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very, combining households is challenging. The idea that the next bigger place is going to be the magic solution is definitely challenging. And storage coming into regular old life is also really, really challenging. So, I think a lot of people will relate to exactly your story. And, let's start with you telling me, like, what is working well for you?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it is a mindset shift for me and not defaulting to just my own things.
Hmm.
And so really making a point of decluttering my own things first and, creating more space that way. The container concept has been huge.
Tell me
Just,
how that works. Like, go tell me about when you kind of just had what you needed in your space, and then he brought in a lot of stuff. How did the decluttering your own stuff first help in that overall situation?
well, in my own old place when he first moved in, I realized, okay, well, I have to give up half my closet. And I had a good sized walk in closet in which I hung up everything. Like literally, besides socks and underwear, every item of clothing, every t shirt, every tank top, all were hung up. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work. You're going to have to give up half the space here. So I bought myself a little chest of drawers and was like, okay, this is all the socks you get to keep. Go in this drawer. That's it. And all of your tank tops have to fit in this drawer, just simply limiting it to that. And then it made it easier to be like, okay, well, this one's pretty beat up. I can let that tank top go. I can let these two pair of underwear I never wear go. I can,
Right.
just slowly whittling things down. That's been huge. And that let me really clear up half the closet space. More in the kitchen, he has a lot of like small appliances, blenders, things like that he uses all the time. And the honest truth is his blender was much nicer than mine. Okay, well, we only have space to keep one blender. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous to keep two. I'll keep his good blender. We live in Southern California, so the nice thing is his blender has a plastic top on it, so that means I can take margaritas out by the pool in
Oh, yeah.
the plastic blender top.
So it's nicer, but it's also more practical. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's been really helpful. Yeah, I work behind the scenes in the movie industry. I'm
Mhm.
a special effects fabrication artist.
That's
So
so cool.
I'm a former theater kid.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm more in the theatrical costuming end of things. But I build creature suits, puppets, and specialty costumes for movies and TV. So I've worked on like all the Mandalorian series, all the Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, all these kind of shows. And
That's so cool.
yeah, and
We
then
have the most interesting people.
yes,
That
yeah,
we really do. Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then my husband is a visual effects supervisor, so
Okay.
he handles more the computer effects for any given. He's usually on TV shows lately, but he's done some movies as well. So he's currently working on 1923, which is a Yellowstone sequel,
Oh,
or
yeah. Hmm.
really, yeah. So he's been working on that. So both of us travel for work, but he'll travel for months at a time.
Okay.
Occasionally, like he spent the year before last, he spent the bulk of the year in like South Africa and Morocco, and he's all over the place.
Okay.
And I tend to travel more short term, but it just makes for a very interesting flow of like today you've got three people in the house, and then his mother's coming down to visit, and then next week I have just me and my little elderly Yorkie.
So tell me about that. Like here's what I'm appreciating about hearing you talk. Okay. It was your home
Mm-hmm.
alone for a
Yes,
while, right? For 6 years. You also sounds like you are the most consistently there all the time. And
right.
yet what I'm hearing in you is a very much a willingness and acceptance of this is his home too, right?
Yes, yes. And
And I think that can be a hard thing for a lot of people. So can you give me your perspective on that?
yeah, I mean, it took a long time to get to that zone, and it's still challenging
Of course.
because it is so much. I am the one using the kitchen the bulk of the time. I am, but yeah, it's really an attitude shift, and it's like I said, it's taken a while to get there. The other challenge is my husband when he was in college. He went to Berkeley, and there was the Berkeley fire in '91, and his
Okay.
apartment burned down
Oh
along with
goodness.
tons of other people's homes. So he lost basically everything he had at that point. Like if it wasn't in his car that day, it's gone.
Right.
And so I think that's created in him a need to keep more things. He's
Right.
really sentimental about all of his personal things, and so I have to respect that. That's a real traumatic incident, and it's
Yeah.
a trauma response. So he keeps a lot more sentimental items than I do, but he deserves space for those things.
Right.
For the most part, a lot of his more sentimental items are in his office, the space that we've created, but also he has a lot of like movie posters and things that aren't really, I don't necessarily want to decorate with Star Wars posters, but they are what
What?
I know, but they're very meaningful to him.
Of
And
course. Yeah.
so I've like created the space for that. So
How have you created the space for that?
our stairwell and our like at the top of our stairs there's some big empty walls, and so that's where all of his movie posters are going, all the Star Wars ones, all the vintage ones. And then I had a custom cabinet guy create a display cabinet for his childhood Star Wars figurines that happened to be at his mother's house when his place burned down.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, so I, instead of just having this jumbled mess in a box, I created a custom display case for them. So you can hang it on the wall and it becomes an artwork instead
Yeah,
of,
exactly.
it's kind of the, you can hide it or feature it. So
Yes.
you might as well embrace it and make it part of the decor. And people love it too.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Well, it's
yeah,
such a conversation piece, and I'm sure it makes him feel like you honor him and you acknowledge, what's important to him. So that's really
yeah.
important.
And then
Yeah.
he's also, for years and years, since his teens, he's collected Hard Rock Cafe pins,
Hmm.
which is, I think, so delightfully cheesy. Um, but every time I would be going through boxes, I kept finding all these pins, and they were just a mishmash mixed in with everything else. And so I had that same cabinet guy create it's basically a topper to my coffee table that is like a giant shadow box. And so we put all of his Hard Rock Cafe pins in there. So he spent,
That's great.
yeah, he spent days and days like organizing them and putting them where he wanted them. So
Oh, that's fun. That's
yeah,
great. Yeah, I love that. No, I think that's really important to hear because I know that's one of the biggest challenges a lot of people have, especially when you have been on your own and then combining the spaces. Especially, it means a lot too because it was your space that he came into. And, if it's going to be his space too, then we have to acknowledge that and make that a priority. So, tell me, is there anything else that you were going to say is working well for you?
I really love the Take It There Now, and I kind
Okay.
of I call it my like high step count cleaning system.
Yes.
I seem to be a morning person. I get the bulk of my energy in the morning. So I'll be up at like 5 o'clock, and, I'm going down to make my coffee. I'll take these two empty water glasses with me. I'll take these, clean folded kitchen towels. I'll take that down with me. And just, okay, what all goes downstairs? I'll take that all with me. And then once I'm down there, I'm like, okay, well, empty the dishwasher, reload anything that's, come about overnight. Just if I pick something up, I have to go take it and put it away immediately and then just look around and go, oh, well, that needs to go away too. So I'll take that back to the other. So I will cross my house, and it's a townhouse, so it's 4 stories.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'll get in, 3,000 steps before breakfast, just up and
Wow.
downstairs and, take my dog out and just everything. But I kind of force myself to, oh, well, I picked up this plant watering pitcher. Actually, the plants need to be watered. Fill it up, go water plants, and then put it away.
Yeah. It's the
Just,
purposefulness of the take it there now mindset and the power of that. And once you start looking at things that way, it changes how you see future things to be
yes.
done. Yeah.
something that's been challenging for me is for years and years, that's when I did my laundry. So I just did a load, maybe 2 loads a day, starting at 5 a.m. But in my old townhouse unit, my laundry was down next to the kitchen, and the laundry room backed up against the downstairs bathroom of the people next door who were also early risers. It just not a problem. My new place, the washer and dryer are upstairs. They back up against the bedroom of the people next door. And so they've commented on, oh, your laundry, so it really messed up my whole system.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, this isn't working, because I kept putting in a load at the end of the day, and then I'd find it 3 days later still sitting there getting stinky. So I started, okay, well, maybe it's a laundry day thing for me. Maybe I have to try this system. So yeah, that's been actually really working for me now. I try to do kind of laundry weekend. It's either Saturday or Sunday,
Right.
whichever day we have less stuff going on. But that has really helped, just kind of powering through.
And then it's so nice to be done. And I think that's the thing, is if it works in your system, and if it works for like where you're standing anyway, and the natural reminders that happen, and it works into your routine and your schedule, then by all means do the load a day if that's what works. But if you're running your head against the wall trying to do that and it just doesn't work, then there's so much value and power in the laundry day. So
yeah. Well, and it's sort of, for years and years, I had systems, but I didn't know what they were. They were just my personal default. And so by adding my husband and his daughter to the mix, I've had to analyze, why isn't this working now? And what can I do to fix it? Which has been certainly a challenge. Like it's like when you say, well, I don't have an accent. And you're like, well, actually, I do have an accent. I'm just so used to it that I don't hear it. So, but I can't imagine how you'd go about doing an American accent, because I do it every day.
Right.
Whereas I can, pretend to have an English accent or something. I can analyze that, but I can't analyze my own.
Right. Yeah. Until you're forced to. Exactly.
Exactly.
So tell me something that you a challenge that you would like to discuss today.
Well, I am still working through, so I have a 2-car garage and also a storage area at the back of the garage. And the biggest challenge is, right now, my husband has a nice newer car, and I have she's about 12 years old now. And that car will probably go to my stepdaughter very soon. So I'm about to buy a new car, which means I need to clear half the garage.
Oh boy.
And that stuff, it's the stuff that hasn't been touched in, I don't know, easily 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
So
what other decluttering have you done in the last 3 to 5 years?
I've worked my way slowly through pretty much everything. The living room and kitchen are in really good condition. My stepdaughter's room still has a lot of boxed things in it. She's holding on to a lot of her, childhood stuffies and stuff. And so I was like, okay, you can keep them, but these boxes are going in your room. So,
yeah.
And I've offered to help her go through them, but I think that's really her.
Oh yeah.
Like not only her responsibility, but her privilege, or her. I got to respect her right to go through her own.
Of course. Okay, so you have your house. I know that it's not without challenges, right? You've got 3-person household and all that, but you have the spaces that are, kind of primarily yours. You feel like those spaces are under control at this point?
Yes.
Okay. And you like the way that they are?
I would say they're about 85, 90% there.
Okay. So you've seen the power of working in those spaces.
Absolutely. I mean, you should have seen when we were going through construction.
Oh, wow.
Like, I feel like I should send you photos. They were so appalling. But yeah, we've slowly worked our way through everything.
Okay.
What I like to do is, I have a local Buy Nothing group, and I'll go to it and just look at the asks. And
that's smart.
Like, oh, you want a love seat? I have a love seat. You can have my love.
Yay.
It makes me feel so much better to know that somebody's just going to come and take it.
Yeah.
And the only things that I list on there are things that are, oh, I don't know if you're familiar with, like Avon used to have this red glassware. I think it was
Yes.
called like Cape Cod glassware. And when my grandmother passed away years ago, she left me, or she didn't specifically leave me, but the family decided that I needed the red Cape Cod glassware collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nice because it reminded me of my grandmother, but I never ever used it. And it's an entire cabinet full of glassware. And when I finally was like, okay, well, I will get rid of, like, I will bring it down to, I only have an 8-piece place setting of my nice china. So I
Mm-hmm.
will get down to only 8 pieces of this glassware and I'll get rid of the rest. So I put the rest on the Buy Nothing group. And this young woman was like, oh God, I collect this. I love it so much. I have this display wall that I put it all on. And I was like, you're getting all of it. Like,
Yeah.
I literally kept
Yeah.
4 little like cordial glasses that I can put little candles in on my Christmas table. I was like, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
because you have all of the memories in
Yeah.
those 4 little cordial glasses.
Yes.
Yes.
So I gave her all of the glassware. And then I was like, wait, I have a salt and pepper shaker. You can have that too.
That's
And
great.
she was thrilled. So
That's great.
that just made
Yeah.
me so happy to send that out to somebody who was
Yeah.
appreciating it.
Yeah. So, okay. So your garage, the purpose of the garage is already defined.
Yes.
Parking the new car in it. That
Yes.
is its purpose, right?
Yeah.
Which means it can no longer serve as storage.
It can't serve as 80% storage. I mean, it
Okay.
can't. I still have, so what I've recently done is there was a big wooden, like kind of storage structure, like a giant wardrobe at the front of the garage, and it was just impractical. So I tore that out and have painted that wall, and there's room there to put up like a 6-foot shelving unit.
Okay.
So I think the solution there is that is my garage storage.
And it is the container.
Yes.
But go ahead with the mindset of the purpose of this space is to park the garage. It is not for storage. Not that we can't have some storage in the parking area. But if we have the mindset that the purpose of the space is the parking, then anything that makes it difficult or impossible to park can't stay. So that just automatically shrinks the amount of stuff that you can have. Is that something you can do quickly and easily? Put shelves in that area?
It's quick and easy to put those shelves up. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I would do before you even do that is go into that space with the mindset that I am clearing stuff out. Like stuff has to leave my house. You also haven't looked at it in 3 to 5 years. So it's going to be a lot of the look, always look kind of a strategy, right?
Definitely.
And go in with the 5-step process. So this is my process. This is my starting with the trash,
Right.
and going through, is there anything easy, like it belongs somewhere else in the house? Anything that, because really, truly, the stuff that would go on the shelves would be the stuff that you have needed to access over the last 3 to 5 years in that stuff, right? Has there been much that you've done that with?
Well, some of it is like my husband's keepsake items. And so that's the stuff that I think will get space on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some old construction materials in there that, like, I don't need any more sheets of sheetrock. Like maybe that's stuff that I can get rid of. Or, well, I found the other day when I was kind of glancing through it is a pile of tile that was the guy who sold its tile. That, not my tile.
So it's like several tiles ago.
Yeah. So, I can definitely get rid of that. And that might be something that I need to put 3 or 4 pieces in the, in my garbage at a time so I don't overload my garbage can. But they're like good sized pieces of tile, and I don't think they're in good enough shape to give away. So, actually I might be able to put some of those in my car and just throw them in the dumpster at work.
It's possible. Yeah.
I'd probably clear up a couple square feet just immediately.
Yeah. So that there's going to be trash. You've already named off several things that were trash. There's going to be obvious donations of, materials and things that you don't want. Anything that's easy, okay, I'm going to give myself permission to look for the easy. And then by the time it's almost, yes, you're going to go through, if I needed this item, where would I look for it first? With the understanding that most things you're going to go ahead and stick in the donate box, right? So it's like the only things I'm going to do that with is like, okay. And then I ask myself that question
Right.
versus, the shelving units are for your husband's keepsakes, which I mean, honestly, he'll probably be more excited about them being there than in a pile in the middle of the garage, right?
Sure. Yes. I mean,
Right.
everything's like binned up, but
Yeah.
just stacks of bins. But and I think he can get overwhelmed with decluttering. But if I bring him like a handful of things and say, "Hey, can I get rid of any of these?" He's usually very good about saying, "Oh, well, you can get rid of. I'll get rid of that. I'll get rid of that, and that I'd
Yeah.
like to keep."
Well,
So
and that's another thing too. So since we're going to involve him on this, the getting that's another part of the value of the 5 steps, because you go ahead and get out all of the stuff that isn't a decision for him to make, because as long as it's in a pile, it feels like part of the decisions he's going to have to make, which is part of what will make him feel overwhelmed. So if you
right,
get out all of that other stuff to where we're down to the point where it's only the stuff that in your mind you're thinking will probably go on the shelves, then we can do okay, let's put your favorite things on the shelves first, which just so naturally sorts out, the reality of, I'm not rejecting things. I am picking things that deserve space. And hopefully that will sort that out pretty easily with fewer emotions.
right. Now there's also like right now he's got a set of really nice speakers that don't really work in our current place, and he took them all out of their boxes to photograph them for sale, and they've never made their way back into the boxes.
Okay.
That can cut half of my bulk simply by dusting them off and repacking them in their boxes.
And then once they're packed, can they
Uh,
be listed for sale?
Hopefully
Okay.
that's his prerogative, but
Yeah.
I can at least like debulk the space by taking them down, repacking them in their
Yeah.
boxes, kind of,
Yeah.
and consolidating them all together. So like he knows this is where they all are.
I like what you said about debulking, because I
Yeah.
think that because it's reducing overwhelm. Every bit of
Oh,
debulking reduces the overwhelm that
yes.
he's feeling. And so many times that's that reality. And it sounds like you have a great perspective on this, but that's that reality of when you are wanting to work together with somebody and it's their stuff and you're trying to be respectful of, saying, okay, I'm going to do this easy part for you. The part I know how to do, I'll go ahead and do that so that it's
Right.
less overwhelming. And now, okay, let's put our favorite things on there first, which helps to reveal do the boxes of things that I've already photographed to sell actually deserve space to be stored? And then that can often be oh, I'd rather actually just get them sold than use up this storage space, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm considering buying, I know we don't usually start with buying containers, but I'd like to get bins that fit perfectly on those shelves so that, and because a lot of the bins that are already existing are pretty beat up, I'd be like, okay, here are these lovely new containers that we can put, all these specialty items into, these, oh, vintage things and collectibles and things like that. And if we restrict it to that, maybe it'll help to just create the container concept. Like
Right.
these perfect bins are what you get for storing your stuff.
Yeah. And I would consider the bins, like, yes, make sure they fit perfectly,
Mhm.
but as a tool, and so it's like I have some bins here so that as we go through things to put on the shelf, if there's something that needs to be, small items grouped together of the same kind, then we can use one of those bins. Does that make sense? Instead of,
Yes,
because I think
absolutely.
sometimes when we have bins stacked up ahead of time before we start putting things in, then it feels like we need to fill all of those bins.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So considering it as I have a tool supply ready, and maybe start with fewer than you actually could fit on there, because there may be some things that just need to go straight on the shelf and don't
Right.
need to be grouped in with other things. So it's like I've got some of these, and then we can always order more because now we know exactly, the
Right.
size and the type and all that. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like your mindset that you've developed gets you ready for this. And it also sounds like there's a lot of stuff that's going to be able to come out and be easier than it feels like it's going to be when you see it as a big pile.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. I had actually a pretty huge victory recently with my husband's a big keeper of boxes.
Hmm.
He likes to keep all the boxes. Computer came in, his monitor came in, all these things, and they do come in handy for resale. And he does switch up his technology pretty regularly. But we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 giant TV boxes in the garage, and I finally was like, honey, you're never going to move these TVs in these boxes. If we were to move, you'd buy new TVs. I know you. So how about we let whoever buys your TVs like deal with their own boxing, or just, when we moved one townhouse to the other, we just put them in the car and moved them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't box anything up. And then I had on my Buy Nothing group, there was a like middle school art teacher who was looking for large pieces of cardboard for a project. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And she came and took all my TV boxes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I felt like they got used, and then later they got recycled. That was part of the project. Yeah, they made giant pieces of artwork out of the TV boxes, and I felt all warm and fuzzy inside for
And
using.
that's right up your alley, is to
Yeah.
support that. So
Yes, definitely.
exactly. I love it. I love it. So what's another situation that is a challenge for you right now?
Well, I've actually I've been decorating for Christmas.
Mhm.
And as I've been putting things up, I've been really going through and going, oh, you know what? I didn't put that up this year. I don't really like, or, find those ornaments that you're like, well, I'm going to put that on the back of the tree. And I'm like, why? Why not just let it go? For years and years, I collected my Christmas ornaments, and to realize that I don't have to get a new ornament every year. Like I can if something really strikes me, but some of the old ones are just heavy and, make the
Mhm.
branches bend. They're,
Yes.
challenging to find a big enough spot on the tree for. Like,
Yeah.
okay. I, and you know what? These lights, only half of them work.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, to me, that's one of the perks of Christmas stuff
Yeah.
is that because, other stuff can just sit out and you just stop seeing it and you just don't even notice it anymore. And then it takes like a real moment of focus. But it's like Christmas gives us that moment of focus every
Right.
year as you pull it out of the box and you think, wait, what? If I don't want to put it out, then it's something that hopefully is easy to let go.
Yeah. Well, and so I had a stuffed animal zebra that
Mhm.
I've had for, I don't know, 20 years now, that it doesn't, I mean, Susan, she's very special to me, but she's
Yes.
not really something I want to display all the time. And she's a little stuffed zebra, and she wears infant socks on her feet. That's just her name's Susan
Sounds
Socks.
very cute. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a second. Her socks are looking a little grubby. Why not put a little Christmas socks on her?
Oh, yeah.
And now she's a Christmas decoration. So Susan Socks with her new Christmas socks is part of my Christmas decor, and she'll get packed away and put back out once a year at Christmas.
Which
So,
is the same thing that you said about the Hard Rock
uh-huh,
buttons and the Star Wars figurines is like, okay, we took it from being something that was in a box somewhere. And I was like, I do love that thing, but I'm not actually, doing anything with it to now it has a purpose. Now
yeah,
it's actually something that's a conversation piece.
yeah, I'll feature it.
Love it. I love it. That's great. That's great. Anything else you want to discuss?
Well, I'm very curious about your new book, but I think you're not quite discussing that yet.
Yeah, it's the spiritual side of things. So, yeah, yeah. So that's what's coming out. I don't know when this comes out, if it'll be out. I also have another book that I'm writing after that. So,
Oh,
oh my
and
goodness. I
great.
don't know what I was thinking getting into so many, but
Well,
but
I would say
yeah.
I regularly I will put on Decluttering at the Speed of Life on my headphones and just work.
Oh, that
Um,
makes me happy.
it's
Yeah.
like kind of the body doubling kind of
Yeah.
feel. You and I declutter together all the time. I'll, like when you're a new every Thursday, your podcast will come out. I'll actually save it so that like I'll listen to it over the weekend or when I've got a little chunk of 45 minutes an hour when I'm intending to work. I'll save
Yes.
it till then so that we can work together.
I know. I love that. I'm like, sometimes people are like, so, your podcast does really well. I'm like, I don't know that there's a better subject matter for a podcast than decluttering,
Uh-huh.
because it's like, oh, you can listen while you actually do the thing, which is just, there's a lot of power in that. And it makes me so happy to think of like, us decluttering together, even while I might be laying out by the pool, but
Right. Yeah, years ago I had a book called something like The Queen of Clean or something like
Okay.
that. And whenever I wanted to get like inspired to clean the house, I would like read that book for a little bit and then I'd be like, yeah, that's a good idea. I should do that. But audiobooks and, podcasts, that makes all the difference to
It
be able to
really
do both
does.
at the same time. It just gets you in the mood. And when my whole house was under construction, I listened to your other book, the how to do
How to
your
manage your home without losing
yes,
your mind.
without losing
Yes.
your mind.
Yeah.
Like I've listened to that one 400 times as well, but during that time I literally was like, I don't have a spot to set a coffee cup. Like that was so necessary during that time period
Yeah.
because everything felt so overwhelming. When every square inch of your place is covered in plaster dust and just debris, and to okay, all right, I'm going to make this little clean spot right here. This, you know, I
Remodeling is the worst. I mean,
oh
it's the best because it produces great results, but it's so incredibly challenging.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had for I think 3 months. My husband and I were in one. It's like a 10 by 12 foot bedroom, and we had a queen size bed in there, two bedside tables, all of our accessible clothes, and a little cart with my coffee maker on it, and some bottles of water so I could make coffee in the morning. And that was
Wow.
it. Like,
Did that help you at all, like identify what you really needed? I mean, did it shift your perspective at all on that? Or did it
uh,
just make you so excited to have your stuff back?
I mean, it certainly, broke down like, well, the truth is I'm only using 4 coffee mugs. I have my favorite four, and those are what I use every day.
Yeah.
So I decluttered mugs kind of hardcore. And my husband predominantly drinks iced coffee. So he gets like one tea mug and one like soup mug. And that's really all he needs.
Yeah.
So the only thing I realized is I do need to keep a couple of extra mugs for guests because I don't necessarily want them using my mugs. Mine. Those are my special mugs.
But
So
that's like a separate category, right? It's like,
yeah,
okay, there's mugs and then there's mugs for guests.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly. They're
exactly.
my mugs and then
Yes.
mugs.
Love
But
it.
I'm down to one smallish cabinet shelf for mugs. Yeah. And my everyday dishes, I just have 6 plates, 6 little plates, 6 bowls, and I could probably cut those down a little bit. We don't use bowls a lot. I don't really think of myself as any sort of minimalist, but there are some categories where I'm like, I really don't need that many things.
I think that's a great point. It's like, what are the categories that I can declutter down as low as I can so that maybe that opens up freedom or space or bandwidth or mindset or whatever for other areas that I enjoy more to have more things.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, and simply like I have a drawer with 3 dividers in it that have, 2 of them are underwear and one of them is socks. And like just that like little moment of realization that oh, this pair of socks, the elastic's gone out. This pair of underwear is looking a little scruffy.
Yeah.
Throw it in the trash right now, just right now.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
put it in laundry first, or, if you wore them all
Yep.
day and the elastic's out, throw them out right now.
Yes. Yeah.
It's magical.
It is. It's that take it there now. Like, wait a minute. If I take it there now, I'm eliminating frustration, future steps,
Yeah.
dealing with this thing, thinking about this thing again. I have too many things to think about. And if I can throw one
Yeah.
of them in the trash so I never have to think about it again, even better.
Yeah. And I put a little garbage can. It's actually a little magnetic one that sticks on the side of my washer dryer, that it's like where you put the lint,
Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually great. I got that off Amazon. But it's also like, oh, dead sock, in it goes. Sock that's
Oh, okay.
totally mismatched. Throw it out, like the end. And it's right there on hand.
How big is it?
I would say it's about, maybe 10 inches wide, and it's maybe about 9 by 10 and about 3 inches deep.
Okay.
It's a little magnetic thing that sticks to the side.
That's smart.
Yeah, and it's magnetic enough that it doesn't go sliding down, but it is lightly, it's not so magnetic that you can't pop it off and dump it.
Right.
So
Yeah, because we have a bathroom next to our laundry room, and so I'm always going in there, and it just
yeah,
is a little bit of a hassle factor, of
yes.
getting in there. So I like that
And
idea. That's great.
yeah, and I realized that same situation for me, but I realized I kept leaving the lint ball sitting on my countertop where I fold laundry. So then I'd go fold something black and get lint on it.
Yes.
Ugh, that's irritating. So
Very.
just that little silly little magnetic thing really made my life
Yeah.
easier.
Love it.
Make
Love
it
it.
really
That's great.
easy to throw things out.
Yes. How can we make it as easy as possible to throw
Yeah.
things out is the key. That's right. That's right. So tell me what you love about being a kindred spirit.
Well, for the Patreon group, the Kindred Spirit group, everyone's really nice. Everyone's really considerate. We all seem to, I don't know, accept people where they are. There are a lot of people are in much different stages in their decluttering, and to see Mary Lou's living room looks gorgeous, but her storage room is a real mess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're all in there somewhere. We're all on the same spectrum.
Yes.
And some people will have it really together, and you're like, oh, wow, that's inspirational. But they're just as challenged in their own mind as
Yeah.
the people with a lot more to do.
Yeah.
And it's so accepting. I
Yeah.
love that about the group. And I don't make it to a lot of the Zoom calls because they tend to happen while I'm at work during the day. Although I have sat in a couple on my lunch break with the camera off. So I can't have cameras on at work because of all the non-disclosure agreements.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But my thing about the Kindred Spirits, though, is because I feel like you've added so much value to my process, I just really feel it's necessary to support you.
Thank you.
That's just part of appreciating what adds value to your life.
Thank you. That means a
Yeah.
lot to me. It really does. It does. Yeah, it means a lot. Thank you. So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
Well, I mean, I feel like I could talk to you all day. So, but I mean, for the most part, I feel like every time I do get into a little bit of a jam, I kind of go back to Decluttering at the Speed of Life, or back to some earlier podcasts that address things directly. I'll kind of scan through and be like, okay, when Dana was moving, now how did she do that? Okay, deal with that. Or, something about, school or holidays. Or I always, I say that my husband and I kind of practice life parkour. I don't know if you saw that episode of The Office where they're like,
Yes.
parkour,
Yeah.
parkour. Because our schedules, like literally, I'll be like, oh, Thursday I need to go to Toronto. And we'll be like, oh, okay, all right. Well, can you cover the dog? Can you cover this? Okay. And off we go. Or he'll be like, oh, I suddenly have to, I suddenly decided to take my daughter to a concert, he'll say, and I'll be like, okay, all right. So Thursday night is just me at home. Okay. Change change schedule. Now I can do something else. Or, oh, this next job that he has is now he's going to be in Argentina for a month. Okay, all right, let's figure that out. But
Yeah.
things happen in things change so quickly for our household. Like, I mean, for example, we're going to Hawaii for Christmas, but we just
Oh,
scheduled it
wow.
yesterday and it's, next week, a week and a half.
I know. I'm like, it's December 16th when we're
Yeah.
talking. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I better
That's
get
so
that
fun.
car reserved,
All
the rental.
right.
But it's just the more tidy and under control my house is, the easier it is to pivot on a dime
Yes.
and be like, oh, okay, you need to go. Well, I know where the suitcases are. I know where the packing cubes are. I know where, my husband's camera equipment is. Everything is in a place where it's findable. I
Yeah.
think that is a previous issue I've had with cleaning and organizing is it's not about where you put it away. It's about where you go to find it.
Yes.
Like the putting away part is just gravy that it's off the counter. It's being able to find it when you're looking for it. That's the magic.
Yes.
When you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I need, my pants with the zip off legs because I'm going to be in a, forest somewhere and it's going to be whatever. Like, I know where those are.
Yes.
Or,
That,
I
that's
need a small
so,
underwear. I know where they are.
yeah. Well, and that's where your house supports the life that you envision, right? As
Yes.
opposed to taking over life by all of those things being difficult. Having to find it is going to be a 3-day process. And then
Right.
knowing that I have it. And then, okay, I know I have it, but I'm still going to go spend money because I don't even want to go through that, what it would take
Right.
to find it. Right.
Right. If I have no idea where my headlamp is, I'll just order another headlamp, even though now I have 4.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, it's having things under control makes it just so much easier
Yeah.
to grab and go.
Yeah.
Like our whole lifestyle is so much easier when I know where the laundry is and I know it's done.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, I can pack a bag immediately because everything's not in a giant pile of laundry.
Exactly. I love it.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much of your story and your successes. And I think it's going to be really fun and helpful for people to hear all of this. So thank you.
I have one little comment. I did want to say, I love it when you're doing your little California accent, when you're, the one I'm talking
The
about.
Valley Girl from
Yes.
1980 something. Yeah.
With that little, that little growl in the voice. Oh my God.
Oh my word. Who
Oh
thinks
my
that?
word. A little vocal fry. I think it's hilarious.
So I have it.
You
Does
can
it
have
sound
it.
correct? Okay.
Yep. I love it.
I'm going to take that and I'm going to run with it. I'm going to take that validation. So wasn't that interesting? Isn't it fun to think how many of us there are doing really interesting and fascinating things all over the world? I love it, love it, love it so much. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget, if you would like to know more about being a member of our Patreon group, our kindred spirits, go to patreon.com/a slob comes clean. And there will be a link in the show notes as well for that. Don't forget to, my new book is out. I would love it if you have read it. If you would go and leave a review, that is incredibly helpful for authors. It's incredibly helpful for getting the word out about the book. It just naturally boosts the algorithm so more people see it, but also it lets the people who do see it know if it's for them or not. And I know it's Jesus doesn't care about your messy house. It's not for everybody, but your reviews are really helpful in letting people know, is this something that they would like to read? So I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.